Alright, here are the rest of the problems from your review. So these are inequalities. Notice that they have inequality symbols here and not equal sign. And when you see those, that means you're going to have to do some shading. And if it's less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, so if they look like this, right, you're going to use a solid line. And if they are like that, without the line underneath them, you're going to use a dotted line. So, these are already in Y, MX, and B form for you, so you don't have to rearrange anything, so that's nice. So you can literally just graph them. And what we're looking for is to see where they overlap, and that's going to tell us the region that holds the answers to solve either one or both of these inequalities. So we start with this one at -3 on the y-axis. So we go down to -3, we put a dot, and then our slope is 3. We put it over 1, which means it's +3. So we're going to go up 3, right 1, or down 3, left 1. Either way. Up 3, right 1, and then up 3, right 1 again. And then we draw, and because it has a line under it, we're going to draw a solid line. And it's less than, so we're going to shade below. And then we do the second line, and it starts at +2 on the y-axis. Put a dot. And our slope here is a -1/2, so we're going to go down because it's negative. Down 1, right 2. So down 1, right 2. Down 1, right 2. Or we could go up 1, left 2. And this one also has a line under it, so it also is going to have a solid line, like so. And this one is shaded above, so that's going to be up here. So they overlap in this area right here. Okay, and so if you want to make it darker, you can. If you want to just outline it like that, whatever, so you know that that's where they overlap. This next one, we're going to have to do some rearranging. When it's y is less than 3x, there is no y-intercept listed back here. It's assumed that it's 0. So you're going to start right here at 0. Your slope is 3, so you go up 3 and right 1. Or you can go down 3 and left 1. It does not have a line under it, so it's going to be a dotted line. And then it's less than, so it's shaded below. On this one, we're going to need to rearrange it so that we get y alone. So we get rid of the 2x first by subtracting from both sides. That gives us -3y is greater than or equal to a -2x plus 9. And then we divide by a -3. We divide everything by a -3. That gives us a 1y. Gives us a +2/3 here and a -3 here. And because we divided by a negative, we need to flip this sign and make it go the other direction. Okay, so this is what we're graphing. So we start at -3 on the y-axis. The slope's +2/3, so we go up 2 and right 3. Up 2, right 3. Or we could go down 2, left 3. The opposite direction. This guy does have the line under it, so it's a solid line. Okay, and let's see, we're shaded here. So now this is less than, so it's less than this one, right? And so it's going to overlap right here. This area right here. Okay. And again, if you want to just make it darker, that's fine. If you want to draw a line and outline it like that, that's fine also. Okay, on this one, we need to subtract 4x from both sides. So that gives us y is less than negative 4x plus 2 for the top equation. And then this guy is already in the correct form. Y is greater than negative 2. Now, since y is greater than negative 2, does not have an x with it, it's going to be a horizontal line. Up here, notice this y had 3x. It had an x with it. That's why it still went diagonally. This one does not have an x with it, and so it's literally just where y is negative 2. And it does not have the line under it, so it's dotted. And it's greater than, so it's shaded up here. And then this one, we start at positive 2. And our slope is negative 4, so we go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the right 1. Or up 4, and to the left 1. And this one also does not have a line under it, sorry, this one, and so it's going to be a dotted line as well. And it is shaded below, so over here. And it overlaps in this area. All right, last graphing question. Okay, so these we're going to have to rearrange. So we'll start with this top one. We're going to subtract 3x from both sides. And that gives us 2y is greater than or equal to negative 3x minus 2. Then we got to divide by 2. Divide by 2. And we have y is greater than or equal to negative 3/2 x minus 1. Now, we don't flip anything here because it was a positive 2 that we divided by. So this is one that we're going to graph. Here, we need to subtract x, and that leaves us 2y less than or equal to negative x plus 2. And when we divide everything by 2, we get y is less than or equal to, remember there's a 1 in front of this x, so we have a negative 1/2 x. 1/2 x. Okay? And then 2 over 2 is 1. And so that's the second one we're going to graph. Again, both of these have lines under them, so they will be solid lines, so that's good to know. Negative 1, we start there, and then we go down 3 because it's negative 3. Down 3, right 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And we go up 3, 1, 2, 3, left 2. And we can draw our solid line here, just like that. And this is greater than, so it's going to be in this area. All right. And then on this one, we're going to start at positive 1. It's a negative 1/2, so we go down 1, over 2, to right 2. Up 1, left 2. Up 1, left 2. So this one is going to go like that. And it is below. So it's down here, like in this area, all right? All this down here, but they overlap in here. There we go. All right, now. All right, on these word problems, they're all very similar. I didn't give you any of the ones where you have to go up and down the river with the current and things like that. So these should be all easy to set up, very similar. So it says that they're selling tickets to the annual talent show. The first day of sales, they sold 10 senior citizens, so we're going to go 10C, and then 11 students. I don't like it when they do that, but we're going to use an S for our variable. So 10 senior citizens, 11 students, and they collected $190. And then on the second day, they took in $160 by selling 5 senior citizens, so 5C, and 12 students. All right, so those are two equations. And so by the looks of it, it would be probably best to do elimination. So I'm going to multiply this guy by a -2 so that I get a -10 here. So when I add them, the c's eliminate. So that gives me a -10c, and a -2 times 12 would be a -24s, and -2 times 160 is a -320. So I'm going to just go like this so I know that I'm working with this equation and this equation. And when I add them together, the c's cancel. And then 11 plus a -24 is a -13s equals -320, and a +190 is a -130. So when I divide by a -13, s is going to be 10. Okay, so student tickets are $10. And then I'm going to take this and plug it back into any of these equations to find how much the senior citizens tickets were. So 10c plus 11 times 10, right? I just put the s in for s right there, equals 190. So 10c plus 110 equals 190. I subtract 110 from both sides. Those are gone. You have 10c equals 80. Divide by 10, and c equals 8. So senior citizens were 8, students were 10. The second one, we have two different high schools going on a trip, and they took vans and buses. And so the first one rented 12 vans, so 12 vans, plus they did 9 buses, and they took 435 students. And then school B took 5 vans and 3 buses, and they took 155 students. So again, elimination is going to be our easiest bet here, and multiplying this bottom one by a -3 will give us a -9 here, so the 9s will eliminate when we add them together. So 3 times 5, -3 times 5 is a -15. V minus 9b equals -3 times 155 is a -465. So when I combine these, and again I'm going to put a line through that, I get 12 and -15 is a -3v. The 9s cancel. And then a -465 and a +435 gives you a -30. And when I divide by a -3, V is 10. So they have 10 kids in a van. And then I take the V is 10 and put it in any of these equations. I'm going to go with 5 times 10, and then plus 3b equals 155. So 50 plus 3b equals 155. Subtract 50, sorry. And we've got 3b left here, equals 105. And when I divide by 3, b is going to equal 33. Goes in there 3 times, 1 left over. Nope, it's 15. That'd be 35. 35. So, 10 people on a bus, 35 people on a bus, 10 people on the van. All right, number 3. I am not even going to attempt to pronounce this name, but they are going to improve their yard by planting rose bushes and geraniums. They bought their supplies from the same store. This first person spent $210 on 9 rose bushes. So 9 roses plus 12 geraniums, so 12G, and they spent $210. Jill, that one I can pronounce. Jill spent $40. She's on a budget. 3 rose bushes and 1 geranium. So this one kind of leaves us open that we could get this G by itself and do substitution if we wanted to, or we could just multiply everything by a -3 and eliminate the R's. So that's what I'm going to do. So let's multiply by a -3. Oops. And that gives us -9R minus 3G equals -120. And again, get rid of this guy. So 9R, 9R are eliminated. 12G minus 3G is 9G. And 210 minus 120 is 90. So when I divide by 9, G is 10. Now I'm going to take G and plug it back into any of these. Probably I'm going to go with this guy right here. So 3R plus 1G would be just 1 times 10 or 10 equals 40. I subtract 10 from both sides, and 3R equals 30. So R also would be 10. So 10 geraniums, 10 roses. Okay. Heather and Perry each improve yards by playing grass and or sod and geraniums. So we're gonna have S and G's. They bought their supplies from the same store. Heather spent $130 on 4 square feet of grass. Don't worry about this. Just it's 4. Just go with the 4. So she spent 4 on sod and 10 geraniums, and she spent $130. Perry spent $115 on 12 square foot of sod and 5 geraniums. So we're going to multiply this guy. We multiplied the bottom equation on all these by -2, and that's going to give us a -24s minus 10G equals a -230. So we're going to get rid of that. And 4s minus 24s is a -20s. The 10s cancel. Equals 130 minus 230 would be a -100. And when I divide by -20, the sod is 5. So now I take my 5 and put it back in for S in any of these equations. I'll just take the 4 up there. So instead of S, I put 5 plus 10G equals 130. So 20 plus 10G equals 130. Subtract 20 from both sides. That's gone. We have 10G equals 110. Divide by 10, and G is 11. So the sod was 5 and the geraniums were 11. And that concludes our review sheet for this unit.